Hello guys, welcome back today. Today's video is going to be about which NHL teams I think, in my opinion, have no chance to make the playoffs, and some teams that are almost there in that tier. Now, let's start with the Coyotes. They have 26 points, and why I have these ones written down. So the Coyotes have 26 points. The Flames are in a wildcard spot. They have 50 points. That's the point where they need to make the playoffs. This is the amount of points that they have, and that is the points that they need to get to be in a playoff spot. They're quite a bit away from that. They're with 26 points. They're half from that, so they needed some catching up to do. They're not going to do it. After that 10-game losing streak at the beginning of the season, it was just over from then, and they kind of clawed back a little bit, but then they've just been bad as of late once again, and they really have no chance to make the playoffs. They are probably if they make the playoffs somehow, if they win 40 games straight, that'll be pretty exciting, but it's just not going to happen. Now, you have the Buffalo Sabres at 31 points, 48 points to make the playoffs because they're in the Atlantic Division, or I guess it would be the wildcard spot. So they need 48 points to get in that wildcard spot. They're not close to it with 31 points. It's not going to happen. They don't have the team really necessary to go on a run like this, and I just don't think that's going. It's not going to happen. No chance in the world I see it happening. They don't have the team in Buffalo. None of them have really produced. Like, some of those guys were supposed to come in and do good, like Marco Scandella is supposed to come in and be a great defenseman for them, but he really hasn't been that. And there's been some key guys that have just been flat, and there's been no really production for the Buffalo Sabres, and I don't really think that'll change. Now, you may be wondering, why do I have the Canucks at the no chance? Well, it's an interesting story. Even though they have 38 points, it's only 12 points from the playoffs. It's 12 points from the playoffs. That's pretty bad. 38 points, 12 points from the playoffs, and not making the playoffs, and here's why. Bohrvat, he's still out for months. He's still out for a while. Tanev is out. There's some key guys on that team that are out of injury, and they don't have the depth to supply that at all. They have somewhat of a defense, but then it's kind of just been exposed these past few games. They've really played badly. The goaltending has been bad and just worrisome as of late. They've been playing terrible. And the goalies, they were good to start off the year, but now they're not. Nielsen's really dropped the ball. Markstrom has really just kind of slumped now. And they just don't have the forward depth to make a run like this that I think they could be able to, but the team just isn't ready for that, and the team isn't good enough to do that. So they're out of the playoffs. Alright, so these are the fringe, no-chance teams. You got the Senators, Canadiens, Red Wings, and Oilers. These are the teams that are not quite in the no-chance territory, where they have no chance. I think there's no chance they make the playoffs, but they're almost there. The Senators are almost there. The Canadiens are almost there as well. The Red Wings, again, they're all like 39, 40 points in the standings, so I just don't think it's very possible. For the Senators' case, they've been playing better recently. 48 points to make the playoffs. That's 9 points from the playoff spot. That's not good enough. They need to go on a real run. They have players to do so, but they're just not stepping up, and I don't know if it'll happen this season. With the Canadiens, they don't have the players, I don't think, up front on the forward depth. They just don't have the forwards necessary to go on a run. Unless Carey Price turns into a literal god, I don't see it happening. They're 8 points out of the playoffs with 40 points. The Red Wings are 41 points, 7 points out of the playoffs. They don't have the depth necessary. The star power in front, they don't really have any stars really on front, and they don't have a star player who can come up and just that just will win games for them. They don't have that, so that's a gaping hole right there. With the Oilers, they've just been playing badly. The penalty kill is one of the worst in history. If they can get that better, who knows what will happen. But I just don't see a run going. They've shown phases where they're getting back on track, but it's not working out for them. And I don't think that this is their year. I think next year though, if they let's say they win the lottery, get Dolan, it's over for the league. I think it's over. The Oilers can make a comeback. This is feeling very similar, the Oilers squad, to the Dallas Stars from last season. They were kind of a slump. You kind of see some cracks, well, not cracks, but you kind of see some signs that maybe they'd come back and then they never would. And I think that this could be the Dallas Stars in last season, where they had a great season before that, and then come back and have huge expectations and don't meet them at all, don't even make the playoffs. But then they come back the next year and they're good again. And I can see that happening with the Oilers squad, definitely. I think they're one of those teams that can do that. But this season, I don't think so. Now, there is some other teams that could have been included, but there is really just a great race overall in the NHL. Lots of teams are competitive enough to be in the playoff race. You've got the Ducks, who are still in the race with the Pacific Division. Even though it is as weak as it is, still got a couple of wild card teams that could pull through there. The Central, it didn't have anybody. The Central is stacked on the depth. Even Colorado, who's last place, has 37 points. And they can make a run. They have games in hand on a lot of the teams in the playoffs right now. They can make a run for it. And I just don't see that there's lots of teams right now, besides the ones that I listed, that are really out of the playoffs. And that really is a testament to the parity in the AHL. The Metropolitan is pretty much stacked. There's no team in there that really shouldn't make the playoffs. And it's a stacked division. And then you got the Atlantic, who I have listed. I could have put the Panthers on the no playoffs list, but I felt like they could have an outside chance just because I like that defense. I like the forwards, and they could grow throughout the season and become even better. And who knows if the goalie's going to run? Those two could burst out at either time. Luongo being injured but having amazing stats. Florida is kind of that weird team that I could say, maybe maybe they make the playoffs, but it's not very likely. But I see how you would think it. But the other teams I listed, I just don't think they'll make the playoffs. But let's say the Florida Panthers, they could possibly make it. That's why I didn't list them on here. But with how many teams aren't on this list, it is a testament to how the NHL, as all these teams that are competitive, there's lots of teams competitive in the NHL and the race for the playoffs this season. That's really great to see. Not really that many races that are that close. Remember, last year, I think the West wasn't all that great, and the playoff race was kind of like they only had the Kings that were out of the playoffs, who were an okay team, but there wasn't really anybody in the West last season who was really snubbed out of the playoffs. This season, though, it's a lot more close, and a lot more teams are better this season, and that's really great to see from an NHL standpoint. That's going to be it today, guys. If you guys enjoy it, make sure to like. If you guys rather enjoy, subscribe. Tell me down below what I did good or wrong, because I probably did get something wrong. But that's going to be it today, guys. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.